Welcome back to the Penn State Pokemon Challenge Elite Four, Game 3 against Geoff Sock. I battled Geoff once before in the Elite Four, and he actually beat me pretty bad with this Choice Band Ferrothorn. Not something I was expecting. He is going to lead with it, and I lead with Greninja, and I make a very bold prediction the first turn that he's not going to attack me just because he thinks I'm going to switch out. So I go for Ice Beam on turn 1 and do roughly 40% to it. He does go for Stealth Rock, which was great for me because now he has to switch out. I'm going to go for Dark Pulse on turn 2, and I'm actually going to get a critical hit on this Bisharp. So really clutch play for me early on, doing roughly 70% to this Bisharp. So that's going to force him to switch out because he knows he can't beat me with the Sucker Punch because I'm Dark type. And so he's going to go back into Ferrothorn as I go for Surf. And I was just trying to mix up the moves, try to keep him on his toes. I didn't want him to predict anything that I did right away. And so I just keep picking different moves almost randomly because they all do roughly the same amount of damage. I go for Dark Pulse on this next turn just to finish off Ferrothorn. There wasn't really anything he could do about it. None of his Pokemon take that Dark Pulse well, and especially now that Bisharp is at low health, that's going to KO him. So he switches into Thundurus, and because I'm Modest Nature, I know I'm not going to outspeed him. I switch into Blissey to take this Thunderbolt that's obviously going to come, and it does a little bit more than I expected, but obviously Blissey milks it up quite well, and after the Leftovers recovery, Geoff's going to know that he can't really do anything with Thundurus against this Blissey. So I'm going to go for Stealth Rock on the switch as he goes to Excadrill. And this Excadrill can obviously do a ton of damage to me, but again, I make a bold prediction that he won't straight up attack Blissey because he's expecting the switch. And so this first turn, he goes for Rapid Spin just to clear the rocks, and I go for Flamethrower. So that's going to do enough damage, a notable amount of damage to it. Not quite 50%, but still enough. And knowing he's going to go for either Earthquake or Iron Head on this next turn, most likely Earthquake, I switch into Aegislash, which I didn't know he would do quite this much to Aegislash with Earthquake. He actually gets me down to, I believe, 1 health. So extremely clutch for me. I'm going to get that Weakness Policy boost to get +2 attack. And on the next turn, I can go for the Stance Change and Shadow Sneak. I don't know if Jeffrey knew that my Aegislash was physical. The Weakness Policy doesn't give that away just because it also increases special attack. And so I got the free kill there. So two of his Pokemon down early in the game. He sends in Gyarados, and he just goes for Substitute right off the bat. I decide to go for Swords Dance, which is an interesting play, I guess. He could have gone for Waterfall or something. He could have gone for either Dragon Dance. I think I was expecting him to go for Dragon Dance, and that's why I Swords Dance, just to try to maximize the amount of damage I can do to him. But he decides to go for Bounce. I guess that he was expecting I would switch out, because I don't know why he would bounce against Aegislash. So I just go for King Shield the next turn, and that's going to cut his attack stat in half. So pretty big mistake by Geoff, and a rare one at that. Geoff's a pretty smart battler, and I don't know, I just don't understand that call on his part. But he goes for Bounce, and he's going to lose half of his attack stat. And I'm going to go for the Shadow Sneak on the next turn. And even at +3, it's not going to be quite enough to kill this Gyarados, and I know that. I just try to do as much damage as I possibly can. Obviously, if he's running Substitute, he's a pretty bulky Gyarados. And so he's able to take me out next turn with the Waterfall. And he's going to get Leftovers recovery, which probably won't help him much, considering how powerful my team is. A lot of brute force on my team. So I send in Greninja, knowing that I'll easily be able to take this Gyarados, and Geoff's going to leave Gyarados in because I'm going to do a lot more damage to any other Pokemon he decides to switch in. So Gyarados is kind of the one that has to take the shot. He sends in Thundurus because he knew I switched out last time, and so I switch out again because I can't really do much against Thundurus with Greninja. So I switch into Blissey, predicting another Thunderbolt, but he actually has Volt Switch on this Thundurus as well. So he goes for Volt Switch on this turn, and he's going to be able to get the advantage on my team here with a free switch into whoever he wants against Blissey. And he decides to go for Bisharp, which I wasn't too concerned about. I didn't want him to Swords Dance though, so I'm actually going to keep Blissey in this next turn just in case. I run Flamethrower on Blissey, so I'm going to just try to use that against him, hopefully kill him. But he does go for a knockoff, plays it safe, and it pays off in his favor. He's obviously a Life Orb Bisharp now that I see his HP go down. So I send in Greninja, and I realize it was a mistake. At that point, after Stealth Rock damage, he's definitely going to kill me with Sucker Punch. And I realize I screwed up, and just to make it right, I switched out again to try to minimize the amount of damage he's going to do to me. He does go for Sucker Punch as I predicted, and it's going to fail since I didn't attack that turn. But the next turn, he actually goes for Iron Head, and after the boost, I don't know that it actually mattered. I do run 252 HP on Mawile. What I probably should have done was Mega Evolve and Sucker Punch. I'm not really sure why I didn't. But yeah, that happened, and I lost my Mawile. So two mistakes in a row for me cost me a Pokemon and some extra Stealth Rock damage. But I am able to take that Bisharp down before it does anything else to my team. He switches into Thundurus, and predicting the Hidden Power Ice, I'm going to switch into Deoxys, just in case. He does actually go for Hidden Power. I'm assuming it's Ice type. I don't really see any other Hidden Power types on Thundurus. And so I'm just going to guess that it's Hidden Power Ice. He doesn't do much to Deoxys, and that's kind of expected. He's going to switch out the Thundurus, and he goes into Charizard. Looking back, I probably should have Calm Minded. I knew he was going to switch out, but I decided to go for Psyshock anyway, which isn't going to do very much to this Charizard, which happens to be a Charizard X, as I'll find out on the next turn. So I'm just going to continue to Psyshock, and thankfully he doesn't have Dragon Dance on this set. I don't know if I knew that coming into the game. I did do some scouting on his team with some of the other members of the Penn State Pokemon Society that were in this challenge. So I did go for Psyshock. He doesn't go for Dragon Dance, so that's really, really fortunate for me that he doesn't have that. He's just going to continue to Dragon Claw, that being his best attack that's not going to damage him. He does run Flare Blitz on this Charizard, but at this point it's not going to be enough to one-shot me, and if I keep recovering, he's just going to do more damage to himself. So he continues to go for Dragon Claw. I think I might go for one more Recover here. Yeah, knowing that it's going to do, over 50%. I'm going to be past the 50% point, so I have to recover to gain that health back. And now that I'm at almost full health, it's pretty safe for me to go for Psyshocks again rather than stalling out the game. I probably could have stalled out his Dragon Claws with pressure, but that's not really my playstyle. That's not very fun for anybody. So I decided to go for Psyshock, and I only recover when I really need to. He goes for Flare Blitz, hoping he can kill me on this turn, but fortunately for me, I play it safe and I go for Recover again. That's really going to help me because he's going to want to Flare Blitz the next turn, trying again to kill me. But after this Leftovers recovery, I think Leftovers heals 9 HP there, and he's going to go for Flare Blitz. Let's see how low it gets me, see if Leftovers made a difference, and it does. So without that Leftovers recovery, he would have beat me, but thankfully I survived with 5 health, and I'm going to be able to get this Recover off again to get just past the 50% point. And after Leftovers again, I should be up somewhere around the 65% mark. He goes into Sora again, the Thundurus, and he's just going to attack. I'm going to continue to recover because I know he's not going to do a ton of damage. He can't do 50% damage with Thunderbolt to Deoxys defense, so I think recover is a pretty safe play unless he paralyzes me. And so I'm just going to try to play this game as safe as possible. I know that Deoxys can beat Thundurus. I go for Psyshock on the second turn because his next Thunderbolt can't beat me unless he crits. The Thunderbolt does, the Psyshock does about, looks like 40% to it. He goes for Thunderbolt again, and I'll probably recover this next turn. I might go for 2 recovers in a row here, just because I want to play it safe and I want to win this battle. I hate to stall him out and everything. I hate to just sit here and use recover, but I also like to play it safe, and I like to win games. So he gets the critical hit, and fortunately I do recover again, and that should be my last recover, I think. Unless I go for one more just to be safe. Not sure. Just gonna have to find out. He goes for Thunderbolt. I'm assuming I go for Psyshock here. I do go for recover. Okay. So I recover that last Thunderbolt, and I'm definitely going to go for Psyshock on the next turn. I think Thundurus is his last Pokemon here, so I just wanted to be safe and make sure I beat this thing. I go for Psyshock here. That's going to do not quite enough to kill it, probably. And then my last Psyshock will be able to take him down. There's no real reason to recover at this point. And so, great game played by Geoff. He beat me once before, like I said, so bringing this new team was pretty crucial to winning this battle. And with that, I take Game 3 of the Elite Four. I move on to Katie in Game 4. And I'll see you guys next time with that last battle.